How's it, everyone? Welcome back to Hawaiian Horology. On today's video, we're going to be taking a closer look at the Monta Skyquest version 2. This is a video that I never thought I would be making because when they first came out with this model, I wasn't really a fan. So I ended up picking this one up at a good price, so I'll let you know if it did change my mind once I got it in hand. Here we go. So first and foremost, we're going to be starting off with the measurements of this watch. This watch comes in at a very wearable 40.7 millimeters wide, and it comes in at 11.8 millimeters thick, or I guess you should say 11.8 millimeters thin for everything that it has going on for it with the GMT and the 300 meters of water resistance. It's a 47 millimeters lug to lug and a lug width of 20. So all of the measurements comes in at a pretty perfectly wearable, versatile type of measurements. And it is very wearable on my larger wrist, which is 7 3/4 inches or around 19 centimeters. And as you can see here, the watch just fits perfectly. The 20 millimeter bracelet tapers down to 16 and it goes back up to 18 at the clasp. I've talked about this clasp and bracelet on another episode here. This is the same version 3 of their bracelet. And if you didn't catch that episode of Hawaiian Horology, I'll be linking it in a card above here. But it does taper down quite nicely. It does have the micro adjustment system. 3 micro adjust points of on-the-fly adjustment. Just snaps right in there. 2 millimeters each, so it adjusts 6 millimeters total of on-the-fly adjustment. And it comes with 2 half links for a perfect fit on your wrist. So one of the reasons why I wasn't a too big fan of this model when it first got announced, I thought it looked a little unoriginal and I wasn't really sold on the aluminum bezel here. But after getting it in hand, it looks very nice. It looks very purposeful. I think with the aluminum bezel, it does add a little bit of a more vintagey looking vibe. And the bezel action is really nice for a 48 click bezel. I mean, of course, it is not as sharp as a 60 or a 120 click bezel, but I guess that's why. But I guess that's normal for bezels that are bi-directional here. And like I talked about in another video when I was talking about the Monta Triumph, about the crown action here, this one is a lot smoother when you twist it. It never falls out of place when I'm pulling it. It winds up very nice and smoothly here. And I think this is one of the points that they did improve because I have no issues with the crown here. The crown guards look a lot better than it did on the previous Ocean King model. In the previous model, it kind of looked like they just added 2 pieces for the crown guards, and it looked like it wasn't really part of the case, but they just kind of plopped it in and kind of made it look, or they tried to make it look seamless. But this one is very seamless and it is very nice and well made. I mean, I can say a lot of good things about this watch because I do still like the brand. And I'm actually sold on this watch now because I think it's going to stay in my collection for a while. I got it at a great price. But so some of the changes of this model versus the version 1 is that the indices don't go all the way to the rehaut. And the indices are a little bit thicker than the older models. The older model was a little bit thinner. And the sword hands are pretty much the same. The GMT hand is straight versus bent. And actually, some people thought that added a lot of character. To me, I didn't really like that bent GMT hand, just a personal preference there. And for the most part, the dial just looks a little bit more, I don't know, smushed in. It's because the indices don't flow all the way out to the rehaut. But I think this model, it has a little bit less character or a little less Monta DNA, but I think maybe they're changing their DNA to look somewhat like this because The new version of the Ocean King did get introduced, and the dial looks very similar to this. So maybe this is their new design language, and they're gonna just change the bezels and the case shape and other things about the watch. But it seems like their hands are steady, their dial and indices and the second markers are also going to be pretty steady. But maybe that's just how they're changing it. I kind of thought the older one had a lot more character. But one of the aspects of this watch that I was very surprised with, that I thought was very eye-catching, was the rhodium plated indices and the hands that it has. When I took it out of the box, it kind of reminded me of a Rolex with its white gold plated indices and hands, and it's very shiny. I'm not sure if it's coming out too well on the camera here, but that is one of the eye-catching features of it. And the change of the bezel went from aluminum, well, it is aluminum now, and went from ceramic to aluminum. I do think it adds more of a toolish vibe when it is aluminum. And since this is pretty much a tool watch with this 300 meters of water resistance and its a GMT function and the sport type bracelet that it does have, I think this aluminum bezel works just fine. I think that people were saying that it is harder to do a bicolor ceramic bezel, and I heard maybe even Rolex is having issues with their bicolor ceramic bezels. That's just hearsay, and actually not really hearsay. My AD told me that as well, and I've also read that on the forums and stuff like that. But those are some of the big design changes, and I think it's just a personal preference here. And some of the old design aspects were great, but I think these new ones aren't too bad as well. So with all the new features and the new design of this watch, like I said, initially I was not a big fan of this watch, but as soon as I got it, as soon as I opened the box, and as soon as I seen all the features and all the new upgrades that it had, I am completely sold on this watch. So yes, I am a fan of this watch now. The only thing is, I'm not sure if I want to keep this color. I would really like to get the limited opaline dial, the black, no, I think it's a blue and a red bezel with gilt indices. The only thing about that watch, I'm not sure how versatile it is. It doesn't seem like a watch you can wear that often, because it is kind of striking. It has gilt and it is kind of a white dial watch. But then again, when I get it in hand, or if I ever do get it in hand, I might change my mind and I will be end up wearing it every day, because I have been wearing this watch every day. And thanks again for tuning into another video of Hawaiian Horology. Like and subscribe if you like this video, or let me know how I can improve on future videos. And just thanks again for watching. Shoot!